Thank you very much for joining me on the program and welcome back. A former Deputy Minister of Finance, Kweku Ricketts-Hagan, says he fully describing it as crucial because of current developments in the economy. Government has been heavily criticized following the nomination of 3 deputy ministers for some ministries, resulting in a total ministerial appointment in the country. Mr. Ricketts-Hagan tells Joy Business the kind of work at the Ministry of Finance needs more than 2 deputies.
At the moment, the old structure is that you have 2 deputies. One deputy is responsible for finance. Then you have the other deputy who is responsible for economic strategy. With the financial services, you need someone who is really dedicated to looking at basically helping shape up our financial intermediaries in the system. But the Eurobond and the type of other bonds that we are beginning to expose ourselves to in the market, you need that kind of a financial economics political lead. The Ministry of Finance is at the center of the whole economy, and one of the things that we've been trying to do in the last 4 years is actually to try and anchor all the ministries to the Ministry of Finance, especially to do with how projects and other things are planned. And so the workload there can be extremely heavy if the work is to be done properly. Additional person may not be needed, but additional person can be helped.
Meanwhile, a section of the public has also shared their thoughts about the current bloated number of ministers and the deputies in the current government.
Wants to do something for Ghana. So he feels the number of ministers or deputy ministers will be effective in his government. That is why he appointed those people. So I don't have anything to say about good or bad. That is good for him.
The point is, do we need 3 information ministers or do we need 3 deputy transport ministers? We're looking at costs. Costs in such a way that if you are taking 3 ministers or 110 ministers, it will mean getting them salaries, getting them drivers, getting them cars, and it will be quite expensive. This is a government that is coming in to fix something that he feels he's coming with a change. So looking at it from that angle, I think it's a bit too much.
He has gone through the country and he made promises to electorates, what he thinks he can do best for the country. Now he has set himself targets. 1 district, 1 factory policy, 1 village, 1 dam, a whole lot of things. Probably he thinks if he has enough people, they can give results. So for me, I'm not interested about the number of ministers, but I'm interested about how they'll be measured in terms of their performance. And I think when you think about it, it makes sense because he wants to see people reporting, minister giving him information about every ministry that he has created. So for me, I'm okay with it.
It can have a positive effect and a negative effect in the sense that the work that can be done by 1 person will then be done by 3 people, so that it will make the work easier and faster. And then the negative effect is that the money that can be used to pay the extra 3 people can be used to develop the country.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. People, I can see yesterday, people were talking about it's too much and Rawlings come, 83, Kufuor come. It doesn't matter. So see, this nation has to go forward. Now look at how we are stuck. Look at dollar, everything. You see, we have to go forward. So it doesn't matter. We should go forward.
Those were a section of the public sharing their thoughts on the increase in the number of ministerial appointments by the current government. Moving on, government is insisting the removal of some taxes and reviewing other levies will reduce petroleum prices and cost of doing business in general. Government yesterday secured Parliament's approval to amend portions of the country's tax laws to give meaning to proposed tax cuts announced in the 2017 budget. President Akufo-Addo is expected to give his assent soon before it can be implemented possibly from next week. But the minority has questioned the relevance of these tax cuts, insisting it will have little impact on cost of living. But Deputy Finance Minister designate Kweku Kwarteng disagrees.
The last 5 years, It is because the strategy of taxation has failed, and businesses and those who would bring in the revenue have not been performing. The way to correct a situation like that is to provide relief for businesses, those who bring the revenue, to provide relief so that the revenue they bring would deal with the fiscal difficulties you are faced with. What that should tell anybody clearly is that the strategies have been wrong. These tax reliefs are intended to reverse this trend. We should see some significant reduction. Don't forget that special... How much? It is difficult to say because we are operating a deregulated pricing regime, and individuals that sell these products have the liberty to sell it at the price they choose. What these interventions are seeking to achieve is to reduce government's contribution to the price buildup. So the special petroleum tax that has been reduced from 17.5% to 15% will bring some relief. The excise duty that has been abolished will bring some relief.
Now, the IMF country representative, Dr. Natalia Koliadina, says any extension of Ghana's program with the fund will depend solely on government. There are reports the country's program with the fund will be extended to December 2018 because it may not be able to meet all the targets by April next year. But Dr. Koliadina says the fund is not in a position to push for any extension.
Well, the program ends in April 2018.
And are we looking at the targets that we are supposed to, or what we are supposed to achieve? Are we likely to meet all these targets and benchmark by April 2018?
Well, with respect to all the performance criteria and structural benchmarks and their implementation last year, the review mission will be assessing those. With respect to the fiscal target, well, as I said, obviously the fiscal slippage is an important step back. And therefore, even though that this year fiscal consolidation envisaged in the budget is quite significant, it would not take the fiscal sector all the way down as was envisaged in the program, and it is natural that a little bit more time would be required to achieve the program objectives.
Does it give credence for the possible extension of the program to December 2018?
Well, it is up to the authorities to decide whether they would like to have an extension.
That is on the government's part?
Yes. Yeah, the government needs to ask the fund if it would like to have an extension of the program. And it is possible if an extension is asked in order to achieve program.
And meanwhile, the IMF says it fully backs government's move to audit the previous administration's budget overruns. This follows the about 7 billion cedi expenditure that was not captured under the automated platform for government expenditure, also known as the GIFMES program. It was also not reported to the IMF during its review last year. According to the IMF, any country found to have deliberately misreported and misrepresented facts could be sanctioned by the fund.
Well, as a matter of fact, what happens now is the government decided to conduct a comprehensive audit of those unpaid claims. And I agree with you, it is very important to find out what's behind those claims, when they were actually originated, and what's the reason why they did not go through the PFM system, Public Financial Management System, and as you mentioned, through GIFMES. So through all the processes that are already in place, why were they outside this system? And if something is outside this system, it's much more difficult to identify the issue. So I would say that we support the government's decision to have a comprehensive audit and identify and verify those unpaid claims, identify the reasons why these unpaid claims showed up at the beginning of 2017, and then decide on the measures which need to be taken to address those shortcomings.
It was established, I'm just using if here, but deliberately, because when you also say that you are surprised at some of these numbers, it means that one way or the other, whether deliberate or somebody tried to conceal data from the fund.
I wouldn't make these allegations because, okay, let me just be very clear that I wouldn't use these allegations because our review was completed at end September. The test date was in December 2015, and we had data, preliminary data, and I emphasize it, it is preliminary data as of end June. So I would say that we were working with information for the first 6 months, and these were preliminary data. Number two is that the review was as of end December 2015. So basically the first half of 2016 was outside the review. And therefore I would refrain from allegations that anyone concealed the data. With regard to the unpaid claim which showed up in 2017, I would give credit to the authorities. We had a conversation, they informed us about the issue, and we understand that this issue needs to be investigated and better understood. Meaning, what's the composition of this unclaimed, unpaid claims? Where did they come from? Who is responsible for those unpaid claims? What are the legitimate or some questionable claims? And then how to deal with this claim.
And in other stories, Member of Parliament for Klote-Korle constituency, Senator Rawlings, has highlighted the need for financial literacy programs for market women to be able to withstand the difficult economic times. She spoke with Joy Business at the CMB market during a tour of some markets in the Central Business District of Accra.
The current economic hardship has also taken a toll on market women. For instance, recent increases in prices of petroleum products have led to an increase in the cost of doing business. It is against this background that the parliamentary member for the Korle-Klote constituency embarked on a tour to assess the real impact of the upward adjustment of fuel prices on the market women. Madam Senator Rawlings later shared her thoughts in an interview with Joy Business.
You know, the fuel prices have gone up, and it's just to see what's the impact on the traders in the markets as well. Because as you know, when fuel prices go up, the fare goes up for transport, and then there's a knock-on effect on food prices as well. And just to see what's happening as well. So far, what have you observed? There's still a lot of activity going on, but a lot of people are complaining that things have gotten a bit difficult. So it's just to assess, what's going on and what we can do to support their efforts here.
The MP also explained the situation can be salvaged through adequate financial literacy programs designed for the market women.
So what we can only do is to see how we can help people to manage their finances, those who are looking for support in terms of, advice on how to manage with their finances as the situation is. Because the reality is, the women who are selling in the market cannot control the price of fuel, cannot control the price of transportation fares. So then the question becomes, what can we do to support the little groups, the cooperatives, so that they can manage better?
Sheila Tamaklo reporting for Joy Business.
A leading food manufacturing company, Promasidor Ghana, has embarked on a mission to become the first Ghanaian company to register its identity in the Guinness World Book of Records. The company says Onga, a seasoning powder brand, will attempt to break the world record for the longest feast table. Amele Josu has more in this report.
The longest feast table event will showcase Ghana's food culture to the world on the 25th of March 2017 at the Independence Square with an expected crowd of over 3,000 people. As part of the company's corporate social responsibility, 6 selected orphanages will also receive donations as part of measures to help alleviate their challenges after the event. Brand manager of Onga, Emily Tego, throws more light on this.
It's going to be a strictly by invitation event. When you get there, you'd have some souvenirs. Once we've settled, we have the officials measuring the table so that they certify and let us know that yes, we've really achieved the 1,900 meters that we are planning. And then post the record announcement, we'll have a celebration. The plan is to grow bigger and better. There's more market out there for us, and we are not going to relent on our oars. We are going to go all out.
She also appealed to government to address the issue of under-invoicing that has plagued the economy.
And competition is stiff. You have people bringing in products that possibly they evaded taxes, they're undercutting, and here you are employing people, paying your taxes, paying employees, and then it's a bit difficult. Our politicians should walk their talk. All the leakages that they intend to plug, they should. I mean, if the people are bringing it, they should really tax them and then make everybody contribute therewith to the building of the nation.
Saudi Arabia's market leader in the edible oil sector, Afia International Company, currently holds the record for the longest feast table, which is 1,508 meters long, and Onga plans to beat this with a length of 1,900 meters.
That'll be very interesting indeed. And moving on, the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAU, says government will not be able to meet its revenue targets if it fails to pay maximum attention to the agri sector. Assessing the 2017 budget read to Parliament by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, GAU revealed government's policies to boost the agri sector is not satisfying enough. Here's more in the report.
The 69th National Executive Council meeting of GAU brought together some agri workers and executives of the union. They expressed, among others, some key concerns facing the sector. General Secretary of GAU, Edward Karewa, says government planting for food and jobs policy could be achieved in the next 3 years if only it provides ready markets for food crops produced.
Production is one stage of a whole process. And we are told that production is incomplete until the final consumer. We want to ask government to ensure that adequate policies are made to provide markets for the produce that we are intending to have within the next 3-4 months' time through this illustrious policy. Most of us seated here and outside this place have gone into farming before. Many people have run out of farming, not because they were unable to produce, but they produced and there was no market. The youth that we are encouraging to go into farming, into agriculture, we don't want the same fate to befall them. So we want government to ensure that there's adequate market for the production that is intended.
Speaking to Joy Business, President of GAU, Edward Oku-Ambofo, emphasized government's agri sector has the potential of creating more jobs and ending the menace of unemployment.
Agri is the backbone of the country. We know the role cocoa is playing. Anytime cocoa money comes in, it even challenges the dollar. So for GAU, we have a role to play and we are equal stakeholders in the country's development agencies. For instance, if we talk about the challenges ahead in terms of food security in the country and worldwide, right now we are speaking, we know the challenges that some of the regions in the Sahel are facing with regard to drought and food. So that's the reason why GAU is poised to make sure that the new administration, incoming administration, like the new government, which is preparing for, let's say, a policy of one village, one dam, GAU is going to be a strategic stakeholder in those policies to make sure that vision become a fruition.
The 69th NEC meeting of GAU held at the Bones Cocoa College in the Eastern region saw executives come up with a 4-year action plan on the best ways to engage government and the private sector in expanding the agri sector.
Now, the fashion industry in Ghana is lucrative but also highly competitive. To survive as a player, therefore, demands huge creativity, and one start-upper is doing just that. Patrick Ajay Nketia is redefining men's fashion, making fashion accessories out of African fabrics. Here's a story on a repeat of the Joy Business Van.
Patrick Ejenkyetia had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but fashion was not the first option. Patrick started a couple of ventures right after school, including a tourism consultancy firm and an NGO to promote good sanitary practices, but he made no progress and was becoming increasingly frustrating.
I felt like so now even money to board transportation to go about was hard, and you try to find ways, but you don't get them. There was this time where I don't have money, I don't know what to do, but still I kept relationship around positive-minded people who are, so it was just a split of a second and we were in a bus, church going, and I felt like, wow, why don't we have African print ties?
That was like a eureka moment. Patrick had just discovered an idea that would change his occupation.
I came home, I dismantled my ties to see the nature of it. And from there, I picked a couple of materials, a material that I had, and went to a seamstress. I did a little self-taught on YouTube. So I showed her the videos that I've copied. But they were in between where, when they are recording, they cut it off, so you wouldn't see even how the pattern was cut. So she suggested that, no, the tie is not cut that way, it's cut this way, you know. So I feel that this is going to be a product and it's going to, if I'm able to sell, I'm going to make money.
Once Patrick got a hang of how to make ties with the African fabric, he started posting his products on social media.
So we got positive and negative comments, but people were interested. The good comments were more. And others geared me on and motivated me that, oh, it could happen. Someone said it could be for only the fancy people.
Patrick uses the brand name Itama, derived from the Swahili language meaning culture. He's also passionate about expressing the Ghanaian culture, and he believes his products are catching on. He shows me some of the celebrities who have patronized his accessories.
This is Elankra. Elankra is a TV personality, and here is Ochame Kwame. Ochame Kwame per se, my first meeting him I was so happy. I was so happy. And here again, he did a very nice picture with the tie, and they made him send that picture to me, and that picture has really helped me in promoting the business. Yes, as a celebrity endorsement. Yes, and we have KKD. I make KKD at Moving Pick, and I gave him a couple of my ties, and he wore them and sent them also outside and gave some to his son, and it was amazing. And he sent you pictures on Instagram, and it was like, Patrick, I wore your tie, and people were like giving compliments that it was nice. And, you know, that feeling is great.
But Patrick has not had it easy. One of his struggles has been the absence of a mentor. He had to learn the hard way most of the time. His struggles have paid off though. Today he is invited to many fashion shows. In 2015, Utama was nominated for Best Fashion Accessories male category at the Ghana Fashion Awards.
This business has taught me a lot that I cannot even say here. But some of the key things that it has taught me is believing the process. When I say believing the process, I mean trusting the journey that you are on, where you don't know where it's taking you, but you believe that it will take you somewhere. You know, it gives you some kind of hope. It gives you some, you know, faith. But aside all odds, we will still sail through. No matter what, we will still rise up to the occasion.
When he's not working, Patrick loves to spend his time mentoring young people who want to become entrepreneurs.
All right, so you always catch other unique stories on the Joy Business Fund on Wednesdays, which airs on Business Live with a repeat on the Marketplace. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Many thanks for joining me, and have a great afternoon.